Hello and welcome. This is Ruth and I'm back with another kit for Tonic Studios. This is kit number 60 and it's called Time Spent with Friends, and inside you'll find a lovely new memory book creator die set and all the lovely things to go along with it. So let's open it up. So while I'm just unpacking all of this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to keep up to date with all these videos. And if you do enjoy it, you can share it. You can also give it a big like, and don't forget to leave me a little comment down below to let me know what you think about it. And I always appreciate that. The links to everything that I use will be down in the description as well. So let's have a little look. I always like to look at the paper and card first, and this time it's really beautiful. It's a lovely shade of coppers and golds and things, so we'll just open that up. There's an A4 sheet of construction weight acetate. Now that has a film on it just to protect it, so don't forget, I can't just get at it here, but I normally take that off with a little craft pick. So if it looks a little bit dull to you at the moment, that's just because there's a film on it, and you can take that off. Now when I come back, I'll tell you how I go about die cutting that. Then we have two sheets of ivory smooth card, and that's fantastic stuff for construction for the memory books. That's 300 GSM and really sturdy. You're getting 4 sheets of the classic ivory white texture weave card. 4 sheets of that. Then you get 2 sheets of 100 GSM pearl gold vellum. That's absolutely gorgeous. You want to see the beautiful, really luxurious sheen of that. Then we've got Cosmic Shimmer pearlescent card, 2 sheets of that as well. So you're getting plenty of this if you want to do lots of different pages in your memory book. And then there are 4 different sheets of double-sided patterned paper. Now this again is really sturdy patterned paper, but it's double-sided, so I have laid it out here so that you can see what's on each side, and that will give you a good idea. But this one, when you turn it over, then is this pattern, and then this one is this pattern. So that's 4 sheets of that. Then it's time again to get a little binder. So that's the binder that you put all your little folders in, and you get those every so often. I'm not exactly sure just how often they come, but that's how I keep all mine. I store them 3 or 4 at a time in one of those. And then this is the little folder with the dies and stamps inside. And these are all the dies that you'll need to make a beautiful memory book, or cards even with that as well. There they are. You'll see them better on that ivory card there. So we've got all the dies to make the pages and the front and the back and different bits and pieces for inside. And we've got Remember, and I'll have to cut those out to actually see what they say, but I can see that that one says Remember. Now these ones, you'll see some of them have no cutting edge on here, and that means that you can leave those as long as you like here, and it can add extra pieces onto them, or you can leave them out from the edge to create the spine at the back or whatever, and I'll come back and show you how to do that later on. But those shapes could also be used for cards. They could be used for pockets, they could do for all sorts of things. And this is a little piece here. There's you could make yourself a little spine, or you could use these little holes so you could lace thread or twine or something through those. And then we've got little closures, and these are little reinforcement parts to put on where the holes would be on here, and other little decorative details. Those are gorgeous, and if you haven't already made some memory books, this would be a great way to start, because you've got everything you need here. And then there's this little stamp set as well. So we've got with family, the good times, those special days, with friends again, but in a different font, that night, with you, those days, with family, the good times, those days, and with you. So lots and lots of different combinations you could use for that as well. You'll also get a little sticker for the front of your folder as well, but mine just wasn't in my kit this time, because sometimes when I get these early there's 1 or 2 things missing, but that's the only thing this time. But you'll get yours in your box. Now let's open this packet. So lots of lovely goodies here. So we've got, first of all, quite a few adhesives. So we've got dimensional foam pads, and these are the big size, so they're 25 centimetres, sorry, that would be very big, wouldn't it? 25 millimetres by 25 millimetres, and there are 24 squares, 2 millimetres thick. And then we've got an 8 millimetre by 8 metre maxi solid clear tape runner. That's fantastic as well. And then this really big glue pen. That's a fantastic size for adding lots of embellishments and things on with. We've also got this absolutely beautiful Moroccan flame dream drop, and I'll show you that later. We have the Aqua Shimmer Sunlit Sienna pen. So it says here that that adds a subtle copper shimmer effect, and we'll come back and see that as well. Now, I have got the Windsor check ribbon in my kit, but you may get a different one. There'll be either the Windsor check or amber yellow 9 millimetre ribbon reel in yours. I already had a Windsor check one here, so I'm just going to open this out and let you see what that looks like. Absolutely beautiful, and it will work really, really well with all the paper and card. Now, that's enough talking about all the stuff that's in it. Let's get to work. I always think that the memory books with the little lace-up parts on the side are the really, really easy ones to make. You don't need to worry about spines and making different parts and pieces for that. This is so simple. You just create the holes in the side with the die and then lace that up, and that's it. So there are 3 dies in this set that have no cutting edge down at the bottom here. That's this large one, which I'm going to use for the covers as well as some pages inside, and then this one, which I can use for smaller pages, and this one for smaller pages again, and they're all different shapes, and that's really, really lovely because they coordinate really well. So you can see that you can actually fit 2 of those big ones onto an A4 sheet, and you'll get your front and back cover from that. And all you need to do is cut that straight out there. Now, you could actually make this bigger, and you could even put it the other way around and make it longer and make a spine. You can double that up, and I've shown how to do all of that in various other videos, but if you want, you can have a little look down at the bottom in the description there, and I'll link those videos if you want to check back on that. But for now, I'm going to do this little bit. Now, you'll see on this die that there's a little score line down there, and that's going to be the folded piece. So you can put that wherever you like, whatever length you want to make this, but make sure you do the same on the back cover and the front cover, and then the inside pages can be whatever size you like and even whatever shape you like. But the fold line there, that's this piece here, must go in towards the inside, and then these to the outside. And as I said, you can have it here or whatever, but the next smallest layering die for this is actually this one, which is just slightly smaller than that, and this one fits in really neatly in between those 2 pieces. So I have already gone ahead and cut one straight off down here, so you can see here, and pop that in here. There's a little, you can just about see it there, a little line where it would be the channel that's created by this piece being debossed onto your page. And if you just put this on the inside of it, that is going to give you, I hope you can see that there. So the little line is still visible there, and this is just on the inside of it, directly top and bottom. And you'll also need to make sure that you have this the same way up in every piece that you do. So, well, my silly way of remembering that is that the top piece here is at the left, the top hole. If you turn that round, the top one is at the right. But I have it at the left, and well, sometimes I'm a bit up the left, so I think up, left, and that's how I'll remember it. Just a silly way, but I'll remember that on each page for that reason. So now all I need to do is go ahead and trim this down on the outside of that line and fold that up. I don't need this piece here. I'll do that in a moment or two, but you can also then cut layers with the other smaller die that I showed you and put on here. You can cut smaller layers. Now, I may not necessarily use that on that page, but this is just for the layering. And the other 2 dies that I showed you then, without this edge piece on, so they've got cutting lines all the way around, but not on this end. I'll show you it there again. You can see it here. It doesn't have a cutting line, that's just flat, and this one is exactly the same. So those can be used to cut pages in exactly the same way, and I've used the small one there to cut into vellum. And again, all you'll need to do is where that little debossed line is, just fold that up, because that's where the pages will open and close. You can see the little notches on here, and these correspond to the different sizes of the other pages in here. So on this smaller one here, again, we're going to have the top piece, the top hole to the left, but the notch then will fit in here. The top notch on each side, the end outside notch, sorry, on each part, the top and bottom, will just fit neatly on there, and that will make sure that everything's centered. And then there are two notches here and here inside that again, and you'll be able to see where they fit on there, the notch at the top and the notch at the bottom, and that fits that perfectly. And then you can go ahead and cut those out. So I'm just going to go ahead now and I'll cut some more pages out and have them all ready. So I'll go ahead and put this in. I've gone ahead and cut out several pages, and I've done the front one just exactly the way I showed you, and then I've actually cut this a couple of times as well by just cutting this piece off and adding this piece in here just for a slightly shorter version of the same page. But for my front cover, I have got this one, and then I've cut the smaller mat in this coppery shade, and then the smaller again in this lovely paper with the hearts. But I want a little tie closure on this, so I'm going to put some glue in here in this part and add some of this ribbon, and then I'll do exactly the same on the back as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. And then I'll add these layers on top. I've taken the liberty this time of going back to the last kit, because I know quite a lot of you are kit subscribers, and you may already have got this, and I thought it just went so perfectly with this. And I also thought that some of you have been asking for ideas with men's cards and memory books and things, and this one is called Time Spent with Friends or with Family or whatever, and I just saw when it said the time spent, I would go back to that kit and use this little clock. So I've cut out the background in the vellum, the next one in the cream, and then this, or the ivory, the centre again in vellum, and I can glue that in behind there where this is going on top. I'm going to just put that there, and I must remember to get my 12 up at the top, so that would be there, and then add this little piece on, come on, there. And I may have to cut a little bit off this and just add that. Yes, I'll take maybe a link or two off that. We'll take 2 off, I think, and put that on there. I'll glue this together, and then we'll put Time Well Spent there, the little hands on here, and then I have stamped out the With Family, and I'm going to put that on there. That's the front cover done, and I have added just 2 or 3 of these pure sheen iridescent circles from the new Christmas magic trend as well. And I know that the clock should be just left the way it was, but normally I would put flowers or butterflies or something on as embellishments. So in this one I've just cut out a few extra cogs and put them in behind here on the watch or the clock or whatever, and that's the front cover. I've just come back again because I wanted to show you that I actually changed the face of this and the hands as well. Now I could have edited that piece out, but I just wanted you to see that sometimes I make things and I'm not too happy with them either, and I have to change them. So it's no big deal. I just took the face off and cut a new one and some hands. What actually happened was I had put vellum on, and although I had just used a little in the centre, I added a little piece around the outside, and it made the vellum buckle, and then I realised that no matter what I was going to do after that, the vellum was always going to look buckled on the face there, and it just wasn't the best look, so I went back for this one and here. And I've also added a couple of these iridescent circles. I don't think I mentioned that before, but I've added just 5 of them. I always like an odd number. I'm not sure, but just, yeah, I think you can see that sparkle. It just gives a really, really lovely little effect without being so in your face or so prominent, but it adds a lovely little thing whenever that's moved. And then I have taken this little die here, and that cuts out the little reinforcements for down here and on the little holes that we've cut with the die for binding all this together. So I've got some in here, and I just want to show you how I put them on. Tonic have just lately come out with a new little top for their Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and I think you should be able to see it. Actually, just show it to you here. Tiny, tiny little nib piece or applicator that adds on to the top of your lid, and you can just see here how I put it on top of, turn this over, maybe we could see there just how fine that comes out. So just a tiny, tiny application, and then we can turn that over, and I've already gone ahead and added most of them on, but that way you just get a really, really ultra fine application of the glue. And there's one in there. So I have them all down here, and I've also, you maybe notice, I've added one on there as well. If you haven't tried these ultrafine applicators yet, I'll add the link down below and you could check those out, because it's what I used along here as well. It's absolutely fantastic for getting a really, really fine little dot of glue on that. So there we are, that's the front. I have the back done as well. Now, as you can see, that is going to be going this way, so those holes line up perfectly. I'll move this out of the road. So that lines up absolutely perfectly. I have added the ribbon in the same way so that when I have all the other pages in, I can tie it together with this. And I can just turn that over, and you can see that then from the last kit as well, I've used some of these beautiful cogs on there and added one of these little reinforcements into the centre of that one. So that's that one done. All I need to do now is add some on the inside and go ahead with some more pages. For this page then, I've just used exactly the same page as I used for the front and back covers, and I took this die for the layer, and it's one that has the stitched detail down the side, but I was actually going to use the other side, so you can't see it too well because I turned it over, and it has no cutting edge here, but I just cut that off straight, and that's my background. I was going to use the paler side, I'll show you it here, but I didn't feel it looked just as well as this one. I just love the contrast of that, it's really, really beautiful. Now, then I have taken these two dies together, and this one doesn't have a cutting edge, but again, I just cut that off where I needed it. So I've used them together, and I've made myself a little frame here, and as you can see, I've gone ahead and cut some acetate. So I just cut the acetate to 8.5 centimeters by 7.5, and then I trimmed it off. I'll show you the acetate here just before I go any further. It has this film, protective film over the top, and this is construction made acetate, so I find that the dies don't actually cut through it, but if you want a particular shape in it, you can certainly run it back and forwards through the die cutting machine a couple of times, and that will give you a really good impression that you can then follow with your scissors. But for this one, I didn't even need to do that. I just cut it to 8.5 centimeters by 7.5, and then you hopefully can see there, I just took those corners off that. I glued the acetate on with the Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, left that for a little while to dry because obviously the acetate will take longer to dry than card with the glue, and I added a layer of the fine three-dimensional foam pads the whole way around, really, really tightly with no gaps in between. I've taken the backing off that, but what I have cut out then, instead of adding sequins or anything like this into it, I thought in keeping with the theme of my little book, I would cut out some of the cogs, and I've gone ahead and cut out lots of these, so I need to remember to put them in face down like this, and I've cut them in the coppery colour and some in the cream as well, the ivory, and I just want to pop them in there, and add the back on. I've used the same die as this one again here and just cut it off, and that can go directly on top there. So this then is going to be the little sleeve or pocket. So what I want to do is just add glue along from here. I'm not going to go right up to the top, so just from here and across here, and then I'll put that onto the page and leave that for the glue to dry. Just like that. And I've used the same die again here to make the little tag for inside, but I have cut it down a little, and I have used this little die and turned that over, and that's going to be this little piece that goes in here, and that will come out and in. But I want to leave that first so that that glue dries. In the meantime, I can go ahead and glue some of these cogs on, because I want to add some onto this area as well here. So we're just going to have a little look through all of these pages before I actually join all of them together, and I have to say I'm really happy with the way it turned out, so I hope you like it too. And don't forget that you don't actually have to follow along with exactly what I've got here, but just do something that suits whatever dies you've got, and you're bound to have loads of different things in your stash that you could add on. But using the dies from the set, lots and lots of these for pockets and for mats and layers and whatever, you can just come up with something really, really beautiful at the end. So there's the cover, that's the front one, and I think that's really beautiful there. I love that little die. So I have used that for the cover, and on the inside then I've cut a mat of this patterned paper from the kit, and then this one, and then I've used this tiny little die here, and I've used that in the four corners, and then that gives you just a little place where you can pop a photograph in there, and that's that mat. And then don't forget we need all those folded back. This is just what I would call a little loose leaf. So that's the tiny die cut in vellum. That's this one without the edge on it, and then I added the little holes down the side with the regular die, and a little mat, and then this remember, and that's backed onto vellum. And the fine tip nozzle for that was fantastic for doing the gluing of that one as well. And that's loose leaf. It's not really anything just except remember. I've actually made a little pocket here. You can use it or you can leave it, but it's there if you want to add something small into it. And I'll just pop that over there. Now this has got to be one of my favourite pages in this, but it may have shown off slightly better in different colours, but I really love it. So it's ivory, and then I've added the ivory on top of it, and I've used the watch in place of just a strip down there that you would put a tag in behind. So again, another one of the dies from the previous kit, but that's the way to do it. Just use all of the things you've already got. So we've got this, and I've made the tag to go in there, and I have used this tiny little die, and I've double backed that so it's on there, and then on the other side glued as well, and that can go in here. You can add your photograph or your memory or whatever in there, and this says good times. Now on the other side then I have glued a couple of layers and some cogs, and then I've made this little tag to go in here as well. And this is the little die, see it there? That's the little die that I've used for all of these pieces, because it folds over and it's got one long side and one short side. I can show you it better on this one. So it's got the long side here and the short side here, and that's the page I've already showed how I made it. Now on this side I have put the large cog die from the previous kit as well, and that's for putting a photograph on there. And this page I've actually added some square sequins speciality paper onto it, and this one isn't finished because I just wanted to show you what I've done. It's a little extra one just in the middle, and it's cut a little bit shorter, and I've put square sequins speciality paper on both sides. And I've taken this large cog die and I have backed a circle onto the back of it, and I've put that little you know the little piece that covers the holes at the front, the little reinforcing piece, I've put that on there, and I want to add this on by just round there and glue that on there, and then that will mean that you can tuck a little photo or whatever in behind there, and I've matted that on so that you can put that in as well. And I'm just going to leave that out until that dries, and I've done exactly the same thing on the other side there as well. And another little loose leaf, I just thought these were lovely on the vellum, and that's a little frame made between two of these dies, and then a little cogs on top. And on the inside back page, I've made a little mistake here, but I'm sure you'll forgive me for it. I have put this little mat down, and then I took this beautiful little die here, and don't forget, whenever you pop this onto your page, to cut these little pieces that you can slip a photograph in. There are actually two of these dies now, I only noticed the one, so there is one that shows the heart going up the way on both of them, but I've used the same one for both. And then I added a little strip from the heart paper down here and a little cog on here, and this is my back cover with 3 cogs, and then this to match this again. So I'm going to go ahead now and join all these together. This bit is a little bit hard to film, but I just wanted to explain that I scratched my head and wondered what kind of ribbon I could use on this, because the beautiful Windsor check was just too thick. I have absolutely beautiful baker's twine, but it just didn't suit. So I've taken some 3mm bright white satin ribbon, and this is my Sunlit Sienna Aqua Shimmer. So I'm just going to put some of that out and colour this ribbon, and whenever that's dry, then I'll use that to thread it all up. I thought I'd try a different shape this time, so what I've done is I have used the little die that, I'll show it to you here, the one that has no end piece on it, but it's got the stitching around it here, and I've laid that down on top of an A4 piece of card, just bring you out a little, and directly where one ended, I flipped that over and cut it out, so you can see there exactly how that would look in the top of the card. That has come out like this, and that has given me this piece, which I then scored in at 7 centimeters from each end, and I have folded that in to make the basis for my little book. Then I have taken the next size down in this die, and I've just left this in to show you how I did it. I just set the die on top of the paper up to here. You don't need the full thing because I'm going to trim it off. And I've cut that out twice in the beautiful heart paper. Now just remember, when you've got your sheet of heart paper, I don't actually have much left to show you, but because this is folded in, you want the hearts to be going this way on one, and flip the die around and put it this way for the other. So I have cut that out twice, if I could find the other one. Anyhow, there it is. So I have glued one on there. I've just trimmed it so that it's slightly smaller than the inside of this, and I've glued one on there, and I'm going to glue this one on here. So next I've taken the large die, which was the front page for my last album, so that's this one, which has no cutting edge on here, and I've cut that out in ivory smooth card again, and then I have folded that in, scored and folded that in at 7 3/4 centimeters from this point. So that's actually, it might be easier from this side, that's 11, just 11 from that side. I've trimmed this off just where you can see the little debossed edge on it, and I folded that over and burnished that down. I've then taken the next size down of a die, and I have set that over this heart-shaped paper again, and this time remembering that it's coming down this way, so the pattern would be this way, and trim that again to fit here, and I'll go ahead and glue that piece on. Now this piece is going to fit inside here, and I want little pieces coming from either side of it, but I want to cover this as well. So I've taken a piece of the copper card, and that measures 13 centimeters by 10 1/4, and this one measures 12 centimeters by 9 1/4. I actually would have made this slightly bigger, but I was running out of the heart-shaped paper, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these together, and that's not for that piece, and glue them on here. I've taken the next size down in the dies with the little stitched edging on it. You can see this one has the stitched edge the full way around, and I've laid that on the card, and you can see there that I've cut it right up to, well, from edge to edge there. I've cut that at almost 10, but I've trimmed a little bit off, so just to show you that you don't need to do the whole thing. And then I have taken that piece and trimmed it, so it's now going to fully measure from the middle point there right out. That's 8.5 centimeters. So it's 8.5 centimeters from here to here, and I have scored down at 4.5 centimeters from this point to here, and that has given me a little flap there, which I have burnished, and I've done that twice, so I've got another one here, and these little pieces then are going to get glued on in behind here. So this is the piece that is going to get glued onto the back of the card, or the little memory book, sorry. But before I glue it down, I'm going to glue these two pieces on here, and then I'll glue the back in place. On the front of that then I've made a lovely little pocket, and I've used these two dies. So we've got the stitched edged one in ivory and the plain one in this beautiful patterned paper. I've just trimmed this one from the top to the bottom is 7 centimeters, and this one is 6, just slightly over 6, and I've matted that on top. This one is fully glued on here, but the ivory one is only glued here and here so that it makes a little pocket. And then I've used this tab again with the little piece on top, and that will go in there. So I've taken that same die again, and I have cut some of the copper card, and from this point to here I've trimmed that at 4 centimeters, and on the next one I have trimmed it at 3.5. So I have 2 of them cut to 4 and 2 cut to 3.5. And these are going to be pockets on either side. Before I do that, I just want to show you a little tip. You can see here, if I hold this up closely, that this is the inside edge of the card, and it's not the front side, which is nice and neat here, and you can see that it's the inside. If you want to flatten that down and make that smoother looking, but you don't want to add anything on top, just take your bone folder and go very carefully around the outside edge like that, and flatten that down a little bit, and then that takes off that sort of unfinished look from it, and it looks a lot smoother and doesn't look like the underside. And we'll just do that on all sides here. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces on here and here to make pockets. So that means I'm only going to add the glue on the outer edges here, so this side part here, down here and up to there, and then that will be a little pocket for there. Just keep it out far enough from the seam so that whenever you go to close this, that it still closes nicely, and then we'll do the same on here. Exactly the same dies again, but I've cut this patterned paper, and I've also cut the ivory Craft Perfect card. Now that's not the smooth one, that's the texture weave card. It's really just to strengthen this because it was going to be made into a little pocket. I've left a little lip there. You don't actually need to do that because you won't really see it much against the ivory here, but this time it's going on here, and I'm just going to glue from here to here and along that way, and not this edge because that's where the pocket is opened there. So I'll do that on both of them. I finished off all the little pockets there, and I added little stripes. So I've got the heart stripe on both of these ones, and then I've got the little dashed squared stripe down on those ones as well. And then I added the little butterfly. Now these butterflies are from the mini slimline beautiful butterfly die set, and I've used two of the dies together like this, cut out this butterfly for here and then on here as well, and then I've left this one blank, but I've also made a little tag for in here. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before because I've been away in between time, but I've made that with this little pull piece on it there, and then I have used an oval die from an older Tonic die set for all the little tags for in here, and then use this little piece again. So I've got one on here and in here and in here, and exactly the same on there. So there are 3 pockets on each side, and then this pocket in here, and we can close that over and bring this down. Now I have gone ahead with those oval dies again and that butterfly die, and I'm going to put this on here, but I want my closure to be ribbon this time. So I've got this checked ribbon, the Windsor check, and there's a little bit of the coppery card showing through there, so that helps it all tie in. But what I'm going to do is lay this down flat and just see whereabouts I want this to go. I'm going to leave enough to tie a bow up at the top, but I want that in behind there. So if I get that just placed round about right, I can hold that down and glue that on there, just there, and then add another piece of card onto the back just to strengthen that. This then will get glued onto here. So I need to remember that I'm just going to glue on this part. So I'll just go there. And then attach that on there. That noise was Nico. Nico is trying to get into my craft room. He was here earlier and I shut the door because he was making a bit of noise. So he's gone out, but he wants back in again and he's snorting at the door. So there we are. I can just bring that up now and tie that in a little bow at the top, and that's that finished. We'll just have a little look through this one again before I put it away finally. You open it up here and you bring this little ribbon round, open that up, and there you have 6 little pockets there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this one in here. So you can add all your little messages or your little photographs in there, and that's just a different way of using that die set. I went ahead then with a large darning needle and just used the ribbon that I had dyed with the marker and threaded it up from the bottom up through and back down again, and tied it in a little double knot, and I've left a little bit of the ribbon hanging there too because I thought that looked really nice. And then I've tied the other bow at the side here, and we'll just have a little flick through this album. So there we are, we've got place for a photo here, remember in here, and a little, I think I'll actually put a little tag in there just so that reminds it when that sample heads across to Tonic, because I'll actually be posting these probably tomorrow, so I'll put one in there. And then we've got this one, as I said, that's my favourite. I really love just the way that watch strap turned out. Back to here, there we are, the little shaker part and a little tag. A photo mat here, 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 and just a little page divider or whatever, and then place for another photograph here. So I really hope you like those. I have tried to use them in as comprehensive a way as possible. I wanted to show this one could be made for a man's memory book, and this one then I have used the same dies but thought I would keep that a little bit more feminine, so that's why I've added the butterflies onto that. But Also, I want to show you how to incorporate these die sets, because I know I've chatted to you before about that, and lots of people enjoy that kind of thing as well, because quite a few of you already have those other die sets, so you want to keep using them and not just put them aside when you get a new one. Thank you so much if you've stuck into the end of this video, because it was quite long. It's actually not very difficult. It's quite a simple process, but I just wanted to take my time and show you the whole way through it so that you could follow along if you want to. So thank you very much, as I said, for watching. Don't forget, if you have hung around to the end and enjoyed it, give it a big thumbs up for me, and don't forget to leave a little comment as well. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and hit the notification bell, I'd really love you to do that as well. And my affiliate links for all of the products that I've used will be down below in the description, so don't forget to check those out too. There are my affiliate links, as I said. That means I gain a little commission from the sales, but it doesn't cost you any more. And I really appreciate everybody who always uses those. So thank you so much, and until the next time, happy crafting. Bye bye.